Two police officers ordered a black Marine to leave his son's graduation. The truth stopped them. Cold two guards thought they were doing their job. They walked into a crowded gym during a graduation and told a black Marine, as a father, to leave his own son's ceremony. They thought it would be easy. They thought no one would stand with him, but in the next few minutes, something happened that silenced the entire room. 6 men rose from the crowd. The truth came out, and what should have been an ordinary graduation turned into a moment the world would never forget. The banners of St. John's Academy fluttered in the summer wind. Families laughed. Students in crisp gowns adjusted their caps. In the car park, a black Marine named Marcus Hale sat in silence. On the dashboard lay a folded photograph, his late wife holding their newborn son. He whispered to it, voice steady but heavy. "I promised you I'd be here for him, no matter what." Then he buttoned his jacket, straightened his medals, and walked toward the gymnasium. The hall was packed. The air was thick with chatter and the smell of coffee. Marcus stepped inside. His uniform gleamed. His boots echoed across the floorboards. He didn't wave. He didn't smile. He simply sat in the family section, ticket in hand, eyes fixed on the stage where his son would soon appear. Some stared, some whispered, but Marcus ignored them. He had fought wars. This day was for his boy. The anthem played. Parents stood, some. With hands over hearts, Marcus rose too, shoulders straight, gaze forward. He didn't sing. He didn't need to. His presence spoke enough. But as the music faded and the crowd sat down, movement caught his eye. 2 men in navy blue uniforms, caps low, radios clipped to their belts, English police officers, and they were walking straight toward him. One officer leaned close, voice clipped and cold. "Sir, you'll need to step outside with us." Marcus blinked. "Calm. Why?" "This section is reserved. You don't belong here." Marcus held up his ticket, the official stamp clear. "This is my seat. I'm not moving." The taller officer frowned. "You've been noticed, and we've had complaints." "Let's not make this difficult." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I didn't fight for this country. To be told I can't sit in a chair I paid for." Whispers rippled through the audience. A mother tilted her phone to record. A student froze mid-step. The officer's tone sharpened. "Final warning! Stand up now!" Marcus lowered his voice, every syllable measured. "You can ask all day, officer. I'm not moving." The hall wasn't buzzing anymore. It was watching, and as tension thickened, Marcus's mind drifted back to Helmand Province, sand in his eyes, bullets tearing the air, a British convoy ambushed, 6 men trapped under fire, Marcus running into the chaos, dragging them out one by one. He remembered their accents, their fear, their gratitude. He had saved English soldiers before, and now English police wanted him gone. Back in the hall, a chair scraped, a man stood, silent, watching, then another, then another. 6 men across the gymnasium, different clothes, different corners, but their stance gave them away. They weren't ordinary guests. They were brothers in arms, and they were standing for Marcus. The shorter officer sneered. "Don't think your uniform gives you special rights. You'll leave, or we'll remove you." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A father lowered his camera. Marcus didn't flinch. "Try it." From the line of graduates, his son Jordan saw it all. The officers, his father's stillness, the silent men rising. He didn't need to hear the words. He could feel them. And in that moment, he understood why his father's silence carried more weight than any shout. The taller officer's hand hovered near his baton, and that's when one of the 6 men finally spoke. A deep voice that rolled across the hall. "If you touch him, you answer to all of us." The entire gym froze. The graduation had just changed forever. The hall was frozen. Every eye was fixed on Marcus, the black Marine who refused to move, and the 2 English police officers who towered over him. The 6 men who had risen from their seats stood scattered, silent like shadows. Their presence wasn't loud, but it was undeniable. Veterans recognized veterans. Warriors recognized one of their own. The crowd didn't clap anymore, didn't cheer. They only waited, as though history itself was unfolding on the gym floor. The taller officer leaned closer, voice laced with authority. "This is your last chance. Walk out peacefully, or we'll remove you by force." Marcus didn't even blink. His eyes stayed on the stage where his son sat, cap tilted slightly, watching in horror. Finally Marcus spoke, voice like steel. "You will not lay a hand on me. Not here, not today." The shorter officer snapped. "You think anyone here cares who you are?" A low voice from the back answered. "We care." The 6 men weren't sitting anymore. They were moving closer. The men approached, slow, deliberate. One wore a simple polo, another a leather jacket, a third still carried a faint limp. But their eyes, their posture, their silence all carried the weight of soldiers. The shorter officer barked, "Sit down, now!" The man in the leather jacket stopped, just a few feet away. He pulled a chain from under his shirt. It wasn't jewelry. It was a medal. The room gasped. These weren't strangers. These were the very men Marcus had saved. Marcus's mind slipped. Again, Kandahar, 2010, smoke, explosions, a convoy ambushed, British soldiers pinned under fire. An RPG slammed into the lead vehicle, flames roaring. Marcus sprinted into the chaos, bullets snapping past his ears. He dragged one soldier out, then another. He kicked open a door, pulling 2 more from burning wreckage. 6 in total. 6 men alive because Marcus refused to leave them behind. And now, years later, they had returned the favor. Gasps filled the room as whispers spread like wildfire. That's Sergeant Hale. He saved them. He saved British soldiers. Why are the police removing him? Parents who once stared in suspicion now leaned forward with respect. Students clutched their phones tighter, recording every moment. The officers shifted uncomfortably. The power in the room was slipping from their hands. On the stage, Jordan felt his chest tighten. He had grown up knowing his father was different, quiet, strict, always carrying weight in his eyes. But this was something else. His father wasn't just a Marine, he was a savior, a hero, a man who had once carried 6 strangers through hellfire. And now, those same men were standing to carry him. Jordan's eyes burned. For the first time, he realized that his diploma wasn't just his achievement. It was his father's promise fulfilled. The taller officer growled, voice shaky now. "This is a school event. You will obey, or you'll be arrested." The man with the limp stepped forward. His voice was low, sharp, undeniable. "Arrest him? You'll arrest the man who saved my life in Kandahar?" The officer froze. Murmurs turned to outrage. "Leave him," someone shouted. "He earned his seat," another cried. The police weren't just facing Marcus anymore. They were facing the entire room. Marcus stood slowly, not to surrender, but to rise. The medals on his chest caught the light. His gaze locked on the officers. "I bled for this country. I carried your soldiers on my back. I buried brothers who never came home. And today, I came here for one thing, to see my son walk that stage." His voice broke just once. "And you will not take that from me." The silence afterward was deafening. The shorter officer's hand gripped his baton. His face was red, pride wounded, authority challenged. But before he could move, the 6 men closed in, shoulder to shoulder with Marcus. One whispered, just loud enough for the whole hall to hear, "Touch him, and you'll have to go through us." The crowd erupted. Applause, cheers, shouts of defiance against the police. For the first time, the officers looked small, outnumbered, out of place. The headmaster hurried onto the stage, raising a hand. "Officers, that's enough. Sergeant Marcus Hale is not leaving. He has earned his place here, and far more." The applause thundered louder. Students stomped their feet. Parents clapped until their palms stung. Marcus sat back down, tears in his eyes, staring at the stage. Jordan's brow was moving now. His son would walk soon, and when Jordan's name was called, he didn't just walk, he walked tall, diploma in hand, eyes locked on his father. The gym fell silent, then erupted into the loudest ovation of the night. Marcus stood, chest swelling with pride, as his son raised the diploma high. In that moment, nothing else mattered, not the whispers, not the police, only the promise kept. The taller officer's radio crackled. He pressed it, jaw tight, eyes darting to the crowd, but the noise of applause drowned out his authority. The shorter one hissed under his breath, "This isn't over." But everyone knew it already was. With the weight of the entire hall against them, the English police had no choice. They stepped back, stiff and red-faced, swallowed by the roar of the audience. Marcus didn't gloat, didn't smirk, didn't raise his hands in victory. He just sat still, because dignity wasn't about shouting down an enemy. It was about refusing to bow, and in his silence, the crowd found their own strength. "Jordan Hale," the headmaster's voice echoed. Jordan's rose from his seat, heart hammering, diploma folder clutched tight. He walked, but not alone. Every eye in the gym was on him. Every cheer was louder because of who his father was. And when he reached the stage, he didn't shake the headmaster's hand right away. He turned, looked at his father, and saluted. Marcus had seen battle. He had seen men fall. He had stood at graves where words failed. But he had never felt his chest break like this. His sons, his boy, saluting him in front of the world. Tears welled, unstoppable. Once the Marine let them fall. The 6 veterans stood too, not in uniform, but in unity. They saluted Marcus as Jordan did. The entire hall gasped at the sight. A father, a son, and 6 soldiers bound by history. It was no longer just a graduation. It was a ceremony of honor. Parents who had whispered suspicion earlier now clapped until their hands ached. Students stomped so hard the bleachers rattled. Some cried, some filmed, some simply stood in awe. The story was no longer about a confrontation. It was about revelation. A black Marine who carried dignity into battle and into a small-town gymnasium. The 2 officers lingered by the wall, eyes downcast. Their authority was gone, stripped by truth. For the first time in their careers, their badges felt heavy. They hadn't just tried to remove a man, they had tried to erase his honor, and now the whole town knew. As Jordan sat with his diploma, Marcus closed his eyes. In his mind, he heard his wife's voice again, soft, proud. "You kept your promise." His heart ached, but it was full. He had carried her memory here, and now their son stood taller than ever. The ceremony ended, but nobody left. Instead, the headmaster raised a hand. "Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring Sergeant Marcus Hale." The gym erupted. Students, parents, teachers, strangers, they rose to their feet, clapping, shouting, saluting. Marcus tried to stand, but the 6 men reached out, steadying him. Together, they lifted his arm in triumph. That night, the video spread, across phones, across towns, across the internet. People didn't just see a graduation. They saw a story of dignity, race, sacrifice, and silent strength. And long after the clapping faded, one truth remained. When English police tried to shame a black Marine, they ended up honoring him instead, because honor cannot be taken. It can only be revealed. The next morning, Marcus woke before sunrise, as he always did. But this time, he didn't lace his boots for duty. He sat at the kitchen table, coffee steaming, phone buzzing, nonstop. Messages poured in. Old Marines, strangers online, even British soldiers he hadn't spoken to in years. Each one said the same thing. "We saw you. We remember. Thank you." At Tar, the precinct, the 2 English officers faced their own storm. Their names had gone viral, their actions dissected in every comment section. They hadn't expected their routine authority to unravel in front of the world. Now, supervisors demanded explanations. Newspapers called. Cameras waited outside. They hadn't just tried to move a man, they had exposed themselves. A week later, St. John's Academy held a small gathering. not for grades, not for speeches, but for gratitude. The headmaster invited Marcus, Jordan, and the 6 men to stand before the student body. This time, no one whispered, no one doubted. The gym echoed with applause as a banner unfurled above them. Honor is silent, but it speaks forever. Jordan took the microphone, voice trembling but proud. My father taught me that strength isn't in fists or weapons. It's in refusing to bow when the world tells you to kneel. He's more than a Marine. He's my dad. And he kept his promise, the crowd roared. Marcus lowered his head, tears burning, trying to hide them. But this time, he didn't succeed. Years later, people still spoke of that day, not just in the town, not just in the country arm, but across the world. Teachers told it as a lesson. Soldiers remembered it as a brotherhood. Fathers whispered it as a promise to their children. And Jordan? He carried that day in his heart forever. Because on the day he graduated, his father didn't just watch him walk. He showed the world that dignity, once earned, can never be taken. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you never miss powerful stories like this one. Your support means everything, and together we'll keep these voices alive.